Music is the heart of Sahel. A unique rhythm exists in Africa, a cadence for setting space and time. A kind of complicity for putting order in chaos with improvised sounds. There are no palpable boundaries that segregate music from life or religion from daily life. Music is the path for an encounter with ancestors, the vehicle towards lust and trance. Africans use music to fight against illness. Music coordinates communal tasks and celebrates death. Music is the umbilical cord that unites man with the rest of the world.
Sometimes when I'm sleeping, I wake up in the middle of the night and I hear the djembe. It is like a nightmare. I cannot do anything. The sound resounds in my head. I only hear an insistent sound.
Lagare is one of the best percussionists in Mali. His djembe is famous all throughout Bamako and along the Niger River. He usually plays on the street and at weddings, baptisms, and street festivals. But he has also played with the best musicians in the country. His dream is to play in Europe someday. For centuries, Mali was known as the Empire of Gold, a territory full of mysteries because of the fabulous goods that traveled up and down its river, the Niger. There once was a time that it was really like this, but today, the true treasure of Mali is not seen or sensed, but is heard. It's its music, the sound spread by geography and by the Malian subconscious as a collective obsession. In Mali, the griots, the traditional jongleurs or minstrels, have always been a privileged class. Their work consisted in accompanying nobles while singing the great deeds of the family. They were men granted a mystical aura that did not work the land or practice any other profession except uplifting the spirit of the kingdom. Men dedicated to the art of sound and speech. These griots still exist, but many of them, the new generations, have begun to change into modern musicians who have created their own style with African roots and Western instruments. Salif Keita and Ali Farka Touré are the most renowned examples on an international level, but there are dozens, hundreds of musicians sprinkling the streets of Bamako and the villages throughout the country. Mali is a hotbed of rhythms, a feverish universe where life appears absurd, trivial, and crossbred. Loby Traoré is an excellent disciple of Ali Farka Touré, the most international Malian musician. Ali Farka Traoré won a Grammy Award alongside Ray Cooder. Together, Ali and Loby have been the driving force of a musical style that mixes jazz with traditional Niger River rhythms.
I lived in Sego with my father when I began to play music. He was a great marabout. People came from everywhere to consult him. One day, a professor carrying a guitar came in, and I began to admire that thing without knowing what it was. For years, I could not get the image of the professor and the guitar out of my mind. I began to frequent places in Segu where music was played, and one day, I sat in for the guy who played the maracas. The boss was so impressed that he asked me to join them, although my father didn't think it was a good idea. After playing the maracas, I changed over to the timbales and then the guitar. My dream is to become the most popular musician in Africa and in Europe. In order to take advantage of my talent, cover my family's necessities, and help my country. For me, no one trade is better than another. We are all important and equal. Musicians, drivers, mechanics, government workers. We are all equally important. God grants each individual a function. He gave me this one. I was created to play, and music is more important than gold or diamonds.
Oumou Synayogo is a great Malian musician, an artist whose songs reflect women's struggle for equal rights. She is a griot, one of the jongleurs who has evolved towards less conventional forms. In traditional music, women usually sing while men play the instruments. Despite evolution, this role distribution has been maintained up until today. Oumou has divorced twice and has 4 children who live with their fathers. Her obsession for equality is not easy to pursue in a world strictly dominated by men. Being a woman, an artist, and a rebel is difficult in a society like that of Mali. Lagare is the oldest of 3 brothers. His life revolves around only one obsession: to succeed in music and to travel to Europe. He knows that without his family, this dream could not become a reality. The family is the center of the African universe, an extended family which parents, children, nieces, nephews, and grandchildren all form a part of. In a tough city like Bamako, the family is the reassuring element of life for Lagare. At home, he will always have food to eat, a bed, and advice.
My name is Siso Sissoko, and I'm a postal worker. I began to work in 1943, although I've been retired for the last 20 years. I am 77 years old. My son Lagare was born in 1969. Times have changed. When I began to work, we lived better than today. With what I earned, I could cover my family's needs and save some money too. Today, with my pension and my 3 children's jobs, we can barely get by. I think it is a good idea that my son wants to go to Europe. There's no future here. But I have advised him to look at the conditions under which he is leaving. I also told him to stay in touch with the family, that he should not forget us, so that we can help him out in case of an emergency. And I told him to send us money. This is all I can say to him.
Jazz will always be something essential for me. It has allowed me to open up my mind, understand the world in terms of harmony. Jazz has helped me to absorb all the music that I have tackled up to now. All the great musicians like Thelonious Monk, John Coltrane, or Charlie Parker are always with me. Then there are the classical musicians like Bach, Ravel, Debussy, Chopin, Stravinsky, and Bela Bartok. They are true musicians and composers, a kind of family that has helped me to search, to find, and to appreciate. I owe them a lot. I dedicate this to them. Africa is very generous, really. It has given me everything that I've ever looked for in life. Having a family has been my starting point, because this is where I had my first child with an African woman. Everything that I dreamed about as a child in France, I have achieved in Africa. I'm happy that my small child lives here with full freedom of movement. People are always picking him up and playing with him. He likes to play the piano. He plays with me. And when I play the bass, he always starts to dance. Just like when we practice with the djembe, the flute, and other instruments, as soon as he hears the music, he comes running over and starts to dance. I'm an adventurer. Tomorrow I could easily grab my suitcases and take off for Brazil, Morocco, anywhere. And my child will always remember this. My African trip began years ago, during my childhood. My parents are from Tunisia. And in France, I had a lot of African friends with whom I made music. I went to New York, to Harlem, because of the jazz. That is where I felt Africa again. The people clapped and shouted, just like that. That feeling is Africa. After 2 years in New York, I felt that things began to stop working. I was playing like an automaton. So I said to myself, if I don't go to Africa now, I will never go. I started my trip in Morocco. I composed a piece there called From Morocco to Mali. This is the song that I composed after being in Morocco for 2 months and after traveling across the desert to Mali. My dream is to go to every country and feel at home everywhere. My country is the earth. This excerpt takes me to my own dreams.
Loby Traoré and his wife have just had a child. The child will be christened with his father's name or his grandfather's name, whoever is the oldest man in the house at the time. This name is given 7 days after birth at a party celebrated with friends and family. Some even come from villages far from Bamako. Loby is a renowned and respected person, and everyone wants to honor him. The birth of a male child, the first son, is one of the most important moments of his life. The celebration begins in the middle of the afternoon, but since early in the morning, the women have been preparing the food for the banquet, which will bring more than 100 people together. The guests sit around the mother to give her gifts and congratulations. The Griots are in charge of formulating the best wishes, praising the virtues of the Traoré family. The lyrics of the Griots are improvised. They talk about the relationships between the mother and her friends, of her fertility, and of her determination with her housework, and of the husband's efforts to keep the family united. The speech praising the virtues of the new parents is repeated during the dance. They are all good wishes for them and for the newborn son. Oumou Synayogo is one of the family's best friends. She has also dedicated a song to them.
Malian women work very hard. Aside from housework, we work as traders in order to support our children. This is what makes women suffer most. We have no rights, and not only that, we are forced to do our husband's work. The men do not take care of us. We have to do everything. There are many women who have to do menial jobs, and this does not give us self-respect. When I was 7 years old, I began singing with my mother. I would climb up a tree to sing, and my grandfather had to chase me. I often accompanied my mother to the celebrations and ceremonies because she was a great artist through and through. Her father was as well. In the land of the Bambaras, when my grandfather did not liven up a harvest festival in some region, they did not consider it to be over. In our town, Buguni, they call us Kono, or birds. But aside from me, there is no one else in my family that makes music. I am the only heir to my parents when it comes to art. I began touring through Africa over 15 years ago. I worked with Oumou Synayogo for a few years. Oumou and I understood each other well. We sang together. I wrote some of the songs on her first album. We did the Bedouin tour together, and upon returning, I released my record 2 months before she released hers. This made her very angry, and now she does not talk to me.
Tonight, Lagare will perform live in concert with Loby Traoré. It's a big opportunity for him, since Loby enjoys international prestige and he could call on him for future tours.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How much does this fabric cost?
$32.50.
Too expensive.
I'll sell it to you for $32.
I'll take it for 20.
That's too low.
I'll give you $22.50.
Well, how about $27.50?
Done deal. I'll make a new shirt with this fabric for when I play the djembe.
Lagare's dream could come true. To play in Europe, walk down the streets of Paris, enter the big theaters in Berlin, Rome, to play in squares overflowing with people ecstatic about African rhythms. He has to be ready, prepared for every concert in Bamako, as if it were the last concert before his big departure, the big jump onto the stage that he dreams about every night. Alongside Dakar and Abidjan, Bamako is one of the hot points for Western African music. Music is played in the streets, at baptisms, at weddings, and also at the clubs where the young people of the city go out at night. Music is present at all times during the day. The clubs feature music with the most external influences, a fusion of styles that mixes modernity and tradition in the most intense way. Toumani Diabaté is the best Kora artist in the world. The kora is a traditional instrument, a kind of African harp. He gets sounds out of the kora that no one else can. Toumani is a virtuoso who is not yet 30 years old, but who has played the kora on the most prestigious stages in Europe, Japan, and the United States. He has recorded dozens of records and participated in thousands of concerts and international programs. Toumani is also a kind of benefactor for those who surround him. His house is always open to artists who need a bed to sleep in or something to eat. There are thousands of musicians in Mali, but only a handful of them are able to make a living from their music.
I am Toumani Diabaté, son of Sidiki Diabaté and Nene Koita. May they rest in peace. I've traveled around the world 4 times and participated in more than 2,000 concerts. I play the kora and have been a griot from birth. For me, music is a way of life. According to my elders, my family has done nothing else but play music, and this dates back to the Mandinga Empire. And so everything that I play with the kora has been inspired in our rich and endless heritage. This is true for all griots, from the most elderly to the youngest. All of us are inspired in Mandinga history. I've been a professional kora musician for 15 years. It was hard at first because the music of Mali was not popular. Thank God things have changed. Now we all participate in festivals in Japan, China, Europe, all over the world. We do not have gold or diamonds. Music is our wealth. Everyone knows that the English musicians help to improve the economy of England at a given moment. We can also do the same in our country. My dream is that one day we will be truly independent. The system is conceived in a way that we are dependent on the West. We are tired of seeing how a kora chord breaks, and the only way to replace it is by importing it. The day that we can produce half the things that we consume, we will finally be independent.
From a distance, the city of Yéné can be seen on the horizon among the waters, like the image of a doré etching. The minarets and pinnacles stand out over the terraces of the medieval city that from far away seems to be walled in, but is not. It's the view of the houses that are so close together around the mosque that produces a sensation of coming to a very old place. Lagare has traveled to Bamako to attend the wedding of his friend Omar. Lagare has played in towns and villages on the Niger River on many occasions. He also has many friends that are scattered along the river. Yéné is one of the oldest cities in Western Africa. A city that was founded in the 9th century as a strategic point on the caravan routes. Until the 19th century, according to journalists like René Caillé, it was a wealthy city that lived in relative abundance. For this reason, it was coveted by everyone, and until the French arrived, it was surrounded by a wall, which time and rain has destroyed little by little. But the unquestionable jewel of Yéné is the mosque, pure Gaudi. There are other mosques like this one in the rest of Sahel, but the Yéné mosque was the first one. It established a style called Sudanese architecture. Thick adobe walls, curvaceous forms, and reinforced buttresses with acacia beams projecting out of the facade. Sudanese architecture is a delirium of forms that plays with strokes without creating even a single edge. Every year, the inhabitants of the city, in a communal and supportive way, dedicate 1 week of their time to reinforce the mosque with a new layer of mud. During the European Middle Ages, Yéné was the axis that the commercial relationship between the desert and the savannah turned on. Timbuktu was the gate to the great journey toward the Mediterranean, and Yéné was the first major stop where boats were put to port when the river level would rise or fall. During that period, it is calculated that there were between 40 and 50,000 people living in the Mali Empire, and that this was the most populated region. Yéné was the commercial and cultural center of the Niger Basin. All goods and rhythms passed through Yéné. The sounds of flutes and drums would mix with the frenetic percussion of the south. The creaking of the carriages with the soundless steps of the camels that would be waiting at the gates of the city. According to the author of one of the local chronicles of that time, the Tariq al-Sudan, the territory of Yéné, was so fertile and so populated that the villages grew very close together. So when the Sultan wanted to summon someone from a village, his messenger would go to one of the gates in the city walls and would shout the message from there. The people, from village to village, would pass the message along. During the 19th and 20th centuries, the city began to decline, and trade was limited almost exclusively to the weekly Monday market. Omar makes a living by selling the local Bamako fabrics made by Peul women, the dominant ethnic group of Yéné. The traders who brought salt, gold, nuts, and fancy silk cloths were also responsible for introducing Islam. Today, trade is limited to subsistence, although the religious fervor is still maintained with the same force as 300 years ago. Omar lives in a good home in the best neighborhood of the city. He has done well in business and has been able to buy this building, which once belonged to his family. They lost it because of overdue debts that they held with a trader in Timbuktu. But prosperity has allowed him to recover the house and consider a second marriage. Fatoumata is his first wife. They have 2 children. A new wife will become part of the family within a few days. The strength of tradition is preserved with the most intensity in the villages and small cities like Yéné. Weddings like Omar's are an excuse to bring the essence of music to the surface, which lives in the hearts of the people on the river. The griots are always the authentic stars of every ceremony. With time, they have become independent and do not work for nobles in particular, but offer their services as they like. They are not hired, but are guests at the celebrations. Once they are there, they show their talents and compete among each other to prove who can flatter the hosts more. They earn a living with tips from the other guests and with gifts from the newlyweds, if the songs are pleasing. Today, contrary to what went on before, most of the griots work in other trades, apart from livening up the celebrations. Musa Samake is currently the head of the Mali Brotherhood of Hunters, although for many years he formed part of the French military. The hunters are a very special caste and possess magical powers that are born of and developed through music.
My name is Musa Samake. The Second World War in France was a horrific war, physically and mentally. I even had to drink my own urine. We had a ration of 2 liters of water every 2 days. So imagine, when your ration runs out, you were through. Once, I even ate grass like the horses did. But I couldn't swallow it despite the hunger that was eating away at me.
My name is Idrissa Kone. I am the administrative secretary of the Brotherhood of Hunters. I have been a member since I was 3 years old. My father made me join. We understand each other perfectly, thanks to the help of our leader. I have only been scared for my life one time. Look, you can still see the scars on my face. Thanks to our leader, I escaped. A spirit attacked me, but I was able to get away. He is in charge of keeping the evil spirits away. And this time, he saved my life. I will always be thankful.
The trade of hunting. What can I tell you about this profession? This practice existed long before I was born. I am the leader of the Brotherhood. I protect them against evil spirits. In addition to hunting, the hunter dedicates his time to other activities, like working the land. I also farm, although I am beginning to get tired.
Timbuktu is still alive, crumbling, but alive. Its culture, tradition, and history are the riches that give it life. When the present is uncertain, only the past justifies believing in the future. Timbuktu is the last stop on Lagare's trip north. Bing-Garba is waiting for him here. She's another great Malian performer.
Mabaikan mogo dabu haya me fenni modio mayandi lakal mabai dunya sidumi koy berganoni har yakuruna har macindi kanoni cerediyo adu kanoni durai ber no hungu kani fowone mabai kana har yakurwane macindi kanoni cerediyo masidina koy be kanoni wo hayo yoko ahin kadin ganiga kanogan cere fodise kanandi ni kaniyara yer hayra yo war mamom macindi kado fafa kabai cere se haya kano cere se
الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله سيدنا محمد رسول الله والسلام.
Bing-Garba is a Songhai artist, a woman from the north who, like Oumou Synayogo, believes in art as a means of dignifying the role of women in Malian society. Her songs are also chants of protest against the disadvantageous situation in which the laws and traditions place women. Her music is heard above all along the curve of the Niger, But little by little, it has made inroads in the south. That's not easy. The internal north-south conflict that punishes the Sahel Strip is also obvious. She fights to overcome it by creating ties between the two worlds.
My name is Bing-Garba. I'm from Timbuktu. I was raised there, although I was born on the Ivory Coast. I come from a noble family, and in spite of this, I am a singer. People usually call me to entertain at social ceremonies taking place in the city. My songs are mainly aimed at young girls. I am different from the griots who sing as a profession, which they have inherited from their ancestors. I do it for love. I have been singing since I was a little girl. I like to represent Timbuktu outside of the city. When there is an event, the government wants me to go so that I sing in their honor. Timbuktu is known as the mysterious city because it is blessed by God. When someone talks about Timbuktu, you could compare it to the Mecca, the city of great Muslim hermits and hospitality. Women are the pillars of African society. Men are incapable of moving our society forward. We women have shown that we can do it because we do it every day. I am completely against clitoral excision, which provokes frigidity, sterility, and many other illnesses. My songs talk about all this.